Hello, you absolutely amazing person, you. Mishko Pakanon Quain Adishnakas Mundo Dam. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Same River First Nation in Northern Ontario, Treaty 3 territory, and I am thrilled to be back with you once again as we continue on the path to reconciliation. Now, as we all know, last year we focused on the 52 steps. This year, we're progressing down the path. And in the first blog post of the year, January 9th blog post, I reminded you that the word path, PATH, is an acronym. It reminds you of what I call the four sacred tools. And seriously, every single time I hear that some reconciliation effort fell apart, it's because someone forgot to use one of these sacred tools. The P is for patience. As my elder loves to say, we're not fixing this by next Tuesday. You have to have patience with the people you work with as they work through their challenges and with yourself. And that applies to both sides of this feather. Sometimes non-Indigenous mainstream Canada gets really frustrated with the lack of capacity at the First Nation level. That is not on us. We have a lack of funding that reflects and results in that lack of capacity. So please keep that in mind. And on the Indigenous side, well, we get really impatient with how slowly things are happening. Industry wants us to push and move quickly. But when it comes to recognizing the wrongs and correcting errors that have been made, that seems to be moving really slowly. Patience is definitely required, which leads us into the A, which is awareness, especially awareness of people that don't look like you. For non-Indigenous people, that means you got to start noticing the headlines. What is the challenge of the Indigenous nation in your area? And for Indigenous nations, we got to start paying attention to what's going on in mainstream locally, because there's a really good chance it's going to affect us. T, tenacity, a fancy way of saying don't give up. We don't have the option. As Indigenous people, we face these challenges every single day. There are days we would love to be able to take a break, but that kind of break is the result of privilege that most of us don't have. Keep going. As an ally, as an Indigenous person, sometimes you need to take a break for a day, a week or so, but come back. This journey has to continue. Things have to change. And last but not least, the one that I have to keep reminding people of in these blog posts is humility. Come at a situation with respectful questions. Saying, I don't understand, puts you on safe and humble ground. But when you approach a situation with, well, why don't they just, that's dangerous. That's not going to get you anywhere good. Humility. I don't understand. Please explain it to me. I would love to understand. So there you have it. January 9th blog post was all about the four sacred tools: patience, awareness, tenacity, and humility. Now, with the January 10th blog post, I can imagine some of my readers were going, wow, she's hitting us hard this first week. And I probably am. Because if you haven't figured it out yet, reconciliation work, being an ally, is not easy. It is challenging. It's going to bring you to your knees on a regular basis. But if you think that's difficult, try being an Indigenous person. Humility, once again. In the January 10th blog post, I talked about the colonial legacy of extraction. How extraction was the mindset of the settlers and continues to be the mindset of many Canadian individuals. It's what can, they look at the earth as if it was created for them to use and use up, instead of the stewardship and the mother role that we see Mother Earth as someone we need to take care of. And in that blog post, I challenge you to look at your relationship with Indigenous people. Do you follow my blog post just for information, or do you honestly want to build relationships with Indigenous people? I'm not judging, but I am asking you to unpack. If you are going to the powwow just to learn, just to extract information, rather than building relationships, that's continuing that colonial legacy. That's not reconciliation. That's not fixing anything. So, as always, I hope my blog posts get you thinking. And I'm hoping the January 10th blog post did exactly that. And by the way, in case you didn't realize, if you go to my website, sandyboucher.com, all of my past blog posts are there. So once you watch this, if you want to reread that blog post, you absolutely can. I'll even include the links to the blog posts in this video. Now, the January 11th blog post was another hard-hitting post, and this time I focused on how to be an ally and the requirement that we need you to be anti-racist, not just not a racist. The fact that you don't say horrible things is not good enough. That does not make you an ally. We need you to speak up. We need you to share posts. We need you to call people out when they're saying derogatory things. Is that going to be comfortable? Absolutely not. But comfortable in racism is not where this country needs to be, not where it needs to remain. Again, being an ally is not easy, but we need you. So please, I'm hoping this year you decide to step up to the plate if you haven't already. And if you have, I hope you continue. Remember, allyship is not a noun, it's a verb. You are an ally when you're in action, not just when you're sitting there calling yourself one. In Thursday's post, January 12th, I called out assumptions. I am still running into way too many people. They got direction from one Indigenous person and assume it applies to everybody, not realizing how racist and stereotypical that is. If you honestly understand that Indigenous people are humans, then you understand that we're as individual as any other group of people. If I meet one white person, one non-Indigenous person, and they tell me that I can call them whatever, it doesn't apply to everyone, and I would never assume it does. So we got to check when you believe, or anyone in our circle believes, that instruction from one Indigenous person applies to all of us, especially when there's more than 640 different First Nations in Canada, all with different histories, different customs, different teachings. We got to destroy that stereotype. And hopefully this year on the path, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so anyone knows me knows I tend to goof off. I can be quite the smarty pants every now and then. And honestly, Friday, January 13th blog post, Allyship Revoked, is something I literally said out loud when I received an email from a couple of people over the holidays. It was so contrary to being an ally. And what I meant by that phrase, allyship revoked, was hopefully just that, that smack upside the head, that little lightning bolt moment that will remind you, oh, something just happened. We forgot what being an ally means. I'm not sure I'm actually going to use it. I guess that depends on what kind of comments I see through the course of the year. But if you do see it, remember what the blog post said. If you see it, don't argue with it. Go back, read the comment that I'm reacting to, and using everything you've learned over the while that we've walked together, see if you can figure out why I said allyship revoked. It's a nice little checks and balance to show that you've learned a lot on this journey. This is not just about reading and absorbing for 5 minutes. This is actually about growing and learning. I hope this weekly review of the blog post actually helps you. I would love to hear your response to it. It's kind of fun to look back over the blog post, and it'll give me a chance to explain why I shared what I shared. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear. Until next week, take care, and don't forget, blog posts, all of them, can be found on my website. I love you. Take care. Bye bye.